welcome to our sort of Valentine's edition of the new book releases. Only sort of, because it's still a pretty even mix of the genres, and there will be timestamps where you can pick which ones are your favorite to see about there. We're going to start out in sci-fi with a very anticipated release for so many people. That's going to be Operation Bounce House by Matt Dinniman. All the versions are releasing on the 10th, and it is narrated by the wonderful Jeff Hayes as well as Travis Baldree. This is following colonist Oliver Lewis, as all he's wanted to do is just keep his family's farm running and maybe play some actual gigs with his band. That would mean they have to actually practice, which they don't really do. Unfortunately, now that the gateway with Earth has been reopened, which he was looking forward to because he thought it might mean supplies, tech things, new things, because he is only a third generation colonist on the planet of New Sonora. And when they went out in the colony ships and when they settled this planet, they had the agreement with Earth that there would be a self-governing independent colony. But now Earth has issued an eviction notice to all of the colonists. And Oliver didn't really think anything could happen to this because what can they do? Well, what they can do is hire a company to evict everyone. And the company, in the way to maximize profits, is going to be sending mech units to the planet that are remotely controlled by people on Earth. Thus, they can sell the people on Earth the right to control these mech robots to evict the people of New Sonora. And while, yes, you might think, why would people agree to do that? One, because, it's like a video game and stuff. But two, they're told they're terrorists. That's not what the description tells you, but I'm going to tell you because that was one of the questions I had, is they are told that the people of New Sonora that they are attacking are terrorists. There's going to be a vlog up on this one. If you would like more details, spoilers though. I will totally go into spoilers in the vlog. From that sci-fi, though, we move to a more YA sci-fi. That's Red Star Rebels by Amy Kaufman. It's 2067, and the Graves family has terraformed Mars from a lifeless rock into a chaotic patch of settlements. You can buy a one-way ticket to a new life, if you're rich. Enter Hunter Graves, the handsome, ambitious grandson of the man who settled Mars. With spectacularly bad timing, Hunter arrives at the United Nations base just as an emergency evacuation sends everyone scurrying for safety. Except he's left behind. Also stranded, Cleo, a sharp-tongued stowaway with no intention of dying today and even less patience for overconfident trust fund boys. But as it turns out, that the evacuation order was all a ruse to cover up a crime happening at the UN building, and they have only 8 hours to solve it, get help, and get away before they die. On to the fantasies now. Starting us off, we have Strange Animal by Jared K. Anderson. Green trips on the curb, falls flat into the street, and sees the city bus speeding toward him, and then blink. He's back on the curb, miraculously still alive. A 5-foot-tall crow watches him from atop a nearby sign, somehow unseen by the rushing crowd of morning commuters. Desperate for answers and beset by more visions of impossible creatures, Green finds his way to a remote campsite in the Appalachian Mountains, where he meets a centuries-old teacher and begins an apprenticeship unlike anything he could imagine. But Green's new happiness promises to be short-lived, because alongside these marvels lurks a deadly threat to the place he's already come to love. The found family vibes are strong with the description of that one, and hopefully it plays it off in the book quite well too. For a darker turn, we have A Forest Darkly by A.G. Slater. Deep in the forest lives Merab, the witch, quietly battling her demons. One evening, a young woman arrives at her door pursued by godhounds, who wish to destroy all those practicing magic, and Mehrab's solitary existence is disrupted. Together, they forge a cure for their isolation with heartbreaking consequences. Meanwhile, in the local village, children begin to disappear. Sinister offerings appear on Mehrab's doorstep, and a dark power pursues her through the trees. As the villagers turn hostile and the godhounds close in, Mehrab finds herself at the center of a struggle to save the soul of the forest and the life of an old love. This is supposed to be set in the author's Sourdough universe, whatever that one is. So where his other books also take place, but this is a standalone. So a standalone story in that universe. The next book I really debated whether or not to put it on here, but it's an author I love, even though it's book 4 in the series that I was not sure about, but I keep coming back to maybe I should try it again. Pretenders to the Throne of God by Adrian Tchaikovsky comes out in ebook and audio on February 12th, and for the US at least, in physical on March. The series, though, follows the Palatine Empire as they are continuing to spread their influence to other countries for their perfection and correctness. And in this book, you are going to the city on the back of the crab. It breaks down all of the books for you quite nicely. It says The Tyrant Philosophers, which is the series. City of Last Chances is the portrait of Illimar, a city under Palatine occupation where civil unrest is becoming quite. And I don't know if all the books follow like that first one did, where you are following different characters throughout the book. This one is Pretender to the Throne of God, is the portrait of a city under siege. And then book 5 already has the name, and I think it's actually already written as well. Then a quite macabre sounding book, The Found Object Society by Michelle Myrick. For 20 years, Greta Davenport has lived with the guilt of surviving the accident that killed her parents. She's tested the limits of her own mortality ever since, but little gives her the dopamine rush she craves. Not until the night she almost drunkenly crashes her car into a tree and a peculiar blank card slides under her front door, an invitation to the Found Object Society. What she discovers there is beyond comprehension, an opulent subterranean playground filled with aisles of objects from different eras and regions of the world. Pick an object and go on a voyage to relive the final moments of the person who died holding it, along with an unparalleled, irreplaceable high, which obviously is quite addictive. And it becomes where you have to go on more and more, but there's something going on at work with this as well. That's why I said it's macabre, because, she's chasing the death. She's chasing a high of death. Our last one is an urban fantasy that might blend the line between, just urban fantasy and like romantic urban fantasy. Secondhand Luck by Kim Harrison is the second in the Shadow Age series. The first one was 3 Kinds of Lucky, I think. It follows along with Luck is its own kind of magic. Petra Grady has known since adolescence that she has no talent for magic, and that's never going to change. But as a sweeper first class, she's parlayed her rare ability to handle dross, the damaging magical waste generated by her more talented kin's spell work, into a decent life working at the Mages University. Until a sexy professor mage wants her to help with his research as he's trying to figure out something. And then they have to go on the run because something goes wrong. And the only one they can get to help them is kind of an outlaw of a person who was using dross to actually make the spells, which is illegal. And then they make revelations of the magical community sorts of things. And she has to decide if she wants to stay, within the borders of what she knows and what's safe, or if she wants to change the world. Into our actual romance this week, we have You and Me and You and Me and You and Me by Josie Lloyd and Emmeline Rees. Meet Adam and Jules, married for nearly 25 years and stuck in a rut. Their future looks, well, boring. Then Adam stumbles across a box of old mixtapes he and Jules made for each other when they were young and falling in love. He dusts off his vintage stereo, inserts one of the cassettes, presses play, and the unbelievable happens. With the power to travel back in time, Jules and Adam can recapture the headiness of falling in love. So with every song that they play from the mixtapes, with every mixtape they play, it takes them back to that point in their lives. So a bit of romance, a bit of sci-fi time travel, a bit of literary fiction happening there. For full romantasy this week, we start off with Wicked Onyx by Debbie Cassidy, the first in a series, and it is releasing on physical copy and ebook this week, and audio copy will be available March 10th. Born into a sorcerer bloodline, cursed and cut off from my power, I was accustomed to being an outcast. For generations, my bloodline carried the weight of a crime committed by our ancestor. But my mother's death changed everything. She left a clue that could prove our innocence, an ancient text hidden deep beneath Knightsbridge Academy. I didn't plan for the whispers to haunt my dreams, or the complicated feelings I shouldn't be capable of, stirred by 2 men bound to the very institution I've come to destroy. One sees too much, yet says too little. The other is a steady, protective, and always in my corner. The Imperium cursed my bloodline, stripped us of our magic, branded us as traitors, and now they will pay. Then the next standalone book in the Prince of Sin series, Throne of Nightmares by Carrie Maniscalco. They're all in the same series, but each one of them is following a different prince. This one is Prince Sloth hates leaving his enchanted library, but when a forgotten deity threatens the very fabric of the underworld, he's thrust into a race against time. He must find the Book of Nightmares, an ancient artifact that has the power to break worlds, before it unleashes a deadly game, free its master, the goddess of night. When a betrayal leaves him marked and desperate, his path collides with a young woman who possesses the legendary phoenix tear, a portal stone unlike any other, who is also a librarian. Has so many things, so many things. Like I've wanted to try her adult series, The Prince of Sin, but I still haven't finished the original YA trilogy. So I haven't, but this one has a magic library. Then the sequel to The Wolf King that came out in December. This is the trad publishing of The Night Prince by Lauren Helferman. The Wolf King starts with Princess Aurora longs to escape the castle and the marriage that has been arranged for her. But on the night before her wedding, at a dogfight where captured werewolves are made to fight for sport, she spares the life of a young wolf. It puts her on the radar of the powerful alpha who is going to kill him, and it changes everything. As said alpha escapes the wolf pens, kidnaps the princess, takes her back to wolfy fairyland, and thinks she has the key to finish with the uniting all the clans and making peace with the humans. I'm not sure how dark this one's going to be, but some of the themes of it do sound to go there. Air of Illusion by Madeline Taylor. She is not the pet they tamed. Blessed with the power of illusion, Iverson Pomeroy has many tricks up her sleeve. However, none of them are a match for the enchanted collar at her throat that keeps her bound as an assassin and mistress to a ruthless king. Forced to play the role of his obedient pet, she plots in secret to destroy him and claim the freedom she's always been denied. When a mysterious Reaper, Thorn, arrives in the city with his sights set on the same weapon Ivy needs, the only artifact that can remove her collar, she must decide how far she's willing to go, and she will show no mercy. Our final book of the week is a thriller with a quite interesting POV. Warning Signs by Tracy Sierra. 12-year-old Zach is cautiously optimistic. His father, Bram, whose business is in dire need of cash, has put together a father-son backcountry ski weekend to wine and dine his biggest investors. Schooled in outdoor survival by his mother, Zach is eager to prove himself to the hypercritical Bram. Maybe if Zach shows how useful he is, he can earn his father's love. And so your main character is a 12-year-old, but this is an adult thriller. I don't think it gets very graphic possibly into things, but it is going to be looking at it through this lens of this kid who seems to never do anything right for his father, but he's still seeking his father's approval and sees the danger that the adults are not privy to or not paying attention to, and how maybe it's not just the wilderness that he has to fear in this situation. That's all for our Valentine's Week list. Maybe you found a new title that you were interested in picking up, or just dates confirmed for titles you have heard about. I'd love to know what you guys are most interested in picking up or getting to read this week, and I hope you are finding something great to read, and I will see you in the next one.